Thank you, Dale. I call to order the Town Council regular session at 7:35, and the date is Monday, April 14th, and we have a special guest here tonight, Joe Tiger Patrick, who is going to be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Town Council proudly would like to present him with a proclamation for his walk across the United States in support of those that have died in Afghanistan and Iraq. And then I think Joe would like to say a few words. So at this time, could we bring Joe Tiger Patrick forward to lead us off in the pledge? Would you all please stand? It's an honor to hand you the microphone.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Either way, you can either stay here or you can go to the podium. We've had this proclamation here at the Town Council table, and we've approved it. And I think with respect to specific people who are not able to be here in the town chambers, Joe has asked for us to put this off. So welcome. I know we have representation from the VFW, and I also know that we have representation from the Elks. So with that said, Joe Tiger Patrick II. Whereas Joe Tiger Patrick II, a Rhode Island Army veteran who served during Operation Desert Storm, volunteered at Ground Zero for 3 weeks after the 9/11 attacks. And whereas during his time at Ground Zero, he developed an affinity for firefighters, and in 2011 completed a memorial walk to honor the families and loved ones of those lost, as well as the first responders in the 9/11 attacks. And whereas he recently completed a walk across the United States to increase awareness of the 6,722 United States service members' casualties resulting from the war in Afghanistan and Iraq, carrying an American flag, an 8 by 25-foot banner that bears the names and photographs of the fallen. Whereas Joe has been a member of the South Kingstown Elks Lodge, number 1899, since 1996, and is a lifetime member of the Veterans of Foreign War Post-9/16 benevolent organizations formed to spread goodwill reflective of Joe's volunteer work at Ground Zero and memorial walks, in addition to his dedication to the Buddy Poppy Sale. Whereas the Town Council recognizes the selflessness, dedication, and strength it takes to undertake such an endeavor as a cross-country walk, and applaud Joe Tiger Patrick's efforts to honor Afghanistan and Iraq fallen heroes. Now, therefore, we, the Town Council of the Town of South Kingstown, proclaim, and it was November 9th, 2013, as Joe Tiger Patrick II Day in the Town of South Kingstown. Congratulations, Joe, and we appreciate all of your efforts.
Thank you very much, Ellen.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. It's an honor to stand before you all. A little overwhelmed. I feel like I'm in court. It's been a long time since those days. I stand before you, a humble son of South Kingston. I grew up in Peaceville on Rodman Street, and my first job was working for Freddie Martella at the Gulf Station, pumping tires and running to get oil cans back when they had those things with a little thing on top. I spent just under 6 months walking from San Diego to Washington, D.C., staying every night in firehouses or veterans' houses, anywhere along the way, spreading the love for those men and women who have served in the last decade's war over in Iraq and Afghanistan. I think it's an unheard generation honestly. Many, in fact, we have a young man here who's a local resident, hopefully will be our newest member of our VFW, has numerous deployments, who's seen way more than any human being should see. Sadly, he lost some friends over there. So I spent today trying to get ready to, how do I thank you all? You know, Ella, what you guys did at the Ladies Auxiliary for me to receive back and to raise money for Operation Stand Down, which incidentally that night we were able to get an ELK member who needed assistance home, a place to go, and we were able to get that for him that night, which is amazing. There are so many people out there that are hurting a little bit. It's so big, and I'm humbled to even have a voice to be able to express my own sadness and pride. I stand before you as the grandnephew of one of our Congressional Medal of Honor winners, William Forney, my grandfather's brother, whose medal proudly is displayed at our Post 916. I could tell you stories all day that my grandfather shared about him, but you know, and him and David Champagne, who's our other Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, I can't tell you the stories, but his best friend can, and that's Billy Forbes right next to him. And so there are a lot of quiet stories out there that are just shouting quietly to be heard. And so for me to stand before you today is very humbling, because I'm not a hero. My hero is right over there. Where are you, Chad? Yeah, Ranger 5, many deployments, quietly going upon his life, trying to pick up the pieces of remembering those he lost, his buddies, his brothers. And so the last thing I wanted to just say, and I wanted to thank, the other reason, I'm very ADD, and so I wanted to thank my friends. The reason why I'm doing this now in November, aside from, I was kind of sick when I got back. The trip kind of wore me out. I'm 50. And so I wanted to thank my good friend Dick Clark and Al Early, who were instrumental in keeping me juiced on the trip and offered me moral support. They're like my dads, even though they're old enough to be my grandfathers, but I'm just teasing. But I just wanted to just say, you know, we have, if you ever go out to our stone that's out there in Memorial, there at Saugatucket Park down the street, we have just over 1,000 World War II veterans who are on there, men and women, and we also have just under 300 men and women who served in Korea. We have less than 100 of them left. And so when you look at the stone, I was remarking all the family names, like the Stedmans and the Gardners and the Reels. I mean, you see a whole generation of a family that served, that answered the call. And it's a lot more than just a stone out there that we only visit twice a year. It's our heritage, it's our history. And so I just, so grateful that you've given me a chance to speak before you today, but I just ask you to remember that there are generations of families who have served and are part of our town. They're part of the cloth that is our community, and we're only here to honor them so that the next generation will continue on. Anyway, thank you so much. I'm privileged and honored. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you. Dale, could we have the roll call, please?
Council President Whaley.
Here.
Council Vice President McAtee. Here. Councilman Donnelly.
Present.
Councilwoman Healy.
Here.
Councilman O'Neill.
Here.
All members present.
Thank you, Dale. We have the approval of the minutes of previous meetings. We have the work session of March 12th and March 26th.
I move approval of those minutes.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We also have the regular session of March 17th and March 26th.
I move approval of those minutes.
Second those.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We also have closed executive session of March 26th.
I move approval of those minutes.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Would any council like anything removed from the consent agenda?
Hearing none, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is page 2. It's under Communications. This is a communication dated March 25th, 2014, from Judy Fortier, Director of Development, Easter Seals, Rhode Island, concerning their recent request for funding of the pediatric outpatient programs in Wakefield is received, placed on file, and the Town Council further directs. Do you want to place this on file?
I would move to place it on file. I would like to say for the record that I did meet with Judy Fortier and her project manager, and they do have quite a facility over there for the pediatric outpatient program in Wakefield. But I move at this time that we place this on file.
I agree with Carol, and I also did meet with Judy. I hope this is something that we will support, but it probably has to come up during the final approval of the budget.
Just for the record, I also have been at the facility many times. It is quite the facility. And they do a lot of good work for a lot of the families. So we have a motion and a second, I believe.
Did you second?
Second, I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And the next communication item is B. This is a communication dated March 28th, 2014, from Douglas R. Langdon. And submitting his resignation from the Planning Board contingent upon the appointment of a successor is received, placed on file, and the Town Council further directs.
Well, we discussed this at the work session, and we will be appointing a successor tonight. I move that we accept his resignation and thank him for all the work he's done on the Planning Board. And Dale, could you send that letter to him, thanking him for his service? Thank you.
I would certainly like to second what Carol just brought up. Doug has been an outstanding member, and just his business now has him traveling better than 50% of the year. So I'm sad to lose him, but wish him the best in his endeavors.
He's definitely been an asset to this community, and I think his letter says it all, that someday he'll hopefully be back at the table or maybe in a different role here serving the town. So, all right, we have a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Next item on the agenda is Communication C. This is a resolution adopted March 27th, 2014 by the Forster Town Council in opposition to Senate Bill 2014, Senate 2677, and House Bill 2014, House 7631, acts relating to taxation, levy and assessment of local taxes, and a resolution adopted March 26, 2014 by the Burrillville Town Council in opposition to Senate Bill 2014, Senate 2677, that would exempt certain development properties from assessment of taxes until they are sold or occupied, is received, placed on file, and the Town Council further directs.
We discussed this also in the work session, and I move that we support the Forster Town Council and the Burrillville Town Council in their opposition to Senate Bill 2677 and House Bill 7631, acts relating to taxation, levy, and assessment of local taxes.
Second?
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Communication E. This is a communication dated April 7th, 2014, from Mark Aschenbold, Chairman, South Kingstown Affordable Housing Collaborative, requesting council endorsement of the committee's position in opposition to the current version of Senate Bill 2014. It is Senate 2086, an act relating to the towns and cities zoning ordinances that would enable the in lieu fee option to promote affordable housing, is received, placed on file, and the Town Council further directs.
Vin, could you please come up and give us a little history on this and feedback?
Sure. Good evening. This correspondence item from the Affordable Housing Collaborative came out of their last meeting where they discussed and reviewed Senate 2086, which relates to zoning ordinances on a local level. The legislation is intended to provide an enabling vehicle for the use of the in lieu fee in support of affordable housing that many Rhode Island communities, including South Kingstown, have adopted by ordinance. The use of this tool was struck down a few years ago by the Rhode Island State Supreme Court in a East Greenwich case. And the court's decision at that time specifically noted the need for the legislature to provide an enabling permitting the use of the fee, this policy by Rhode Island cities and towns. S2086 was introduced on January the 1st of 2014, and it has been referred to the Senate Committee on Housing and Municipal Government. The Affordable Housing Collaborative's letter was sent to Senator Juan Pichardo, who is the chair of that committee. The specific issues raised in the Affordable Housing Collaborative's letter include that the legislation would permit a developer to make the decision to pay a fee in lieu of producing affordable units. This conflicts with our existing ordinance, and where that determination resides with the planning board. The bill also allows a developer to retain a density bonus for the subdivision when he or she would choose the in lieu fee. And our current ordinance does not permit a density bonus when an in lieu fee or an off-site option is permitted by the planning board. And thirdly, the methodology for calculation of the fee utilizes statewide data for projects that are supported by Rhode Island Housing over the past 3 years. The Affordable Housing Collaborative has suggested a fee methodology that is locally based and reflective of local needs as a preference for how that would proceed. And that is indeed the case in the South Kingstown ordinance that we currently have on the books, but are not able to use that aspect. The council may recall that the town manager in the capital budget had provided an analysis of what the fee would be based on our local experience and local conditions. And I think lastly, the Affordable Housing Collaborative also expressed concerns about the rationale for providing a sunset for the legislation on December 31st, 2014. The collaborative is respectfully requesting that the town council considers joining them in opposition to this bill. They do, in their letter, suggest that a substitute A or sub A of this bill that focus merely on enabling the use of the fee by Rhode Island communities as a policy tool for affordable housing would be appropriate, and perhaps this bill could be a starting point with substantial revisions. But as it stands, the collaborative has, concerns about the bill, that it really goes too far and, kind of in some respects usurps local control over this issue, which is, affordable housing issue is in response to a state mandate. This would kind of change how that's managed on the local level.
Thank you, Vin. Do we have questions here at the table? Actually, can we, I don't think we did a motion. Can
No,
we have a
not yet. We
motion
didn't
yet?
do
And then
a
we can have a
motion.
second and then do discussion?
Well, I move that we support Mark Archambault, Chairman of the South Kingstown Affordable Housing, and the entire committee in requesting that we endorse the committee's position in opposition to the current version of the Senate Bill S2086, an act relating to towns and cities zoning ordinance that would enable the in lieu fee option to promote affordable housing.
Second that.
We have motion, a second. Further discussion here at the table?
Well,
I suggest that you add on to that motion as currently presented, because we're looking for the in lieu fee to be established. What we're suggesting is that a sub A is necessary to address the 4 points that Vin just rose.
Okay. All right, so
As presented.
as presented, we're opposing it. We would like some revisions to that particular bill, or a new bill, I suppose, a new Senate bill. But the whole point is that what we have in place now is, first, we have inclusionary affordable housing on site. Second, from what you're saying, Vin, and from what the statute, the ordinance is, and we've discussed it many times before, second would be to find an off-site location for developers to put affordable housing in. And then thirdly would be the fee in lieu, which currently we haven't accepted that from anyone, right?
We have not.
So that would be the third option in the
In the
three
progression,
options.
actually, it would be the fourth.
The fourth option?
The third option would be donation of developable land for affordable units. So it's the last option. This bill would put it to as the first option at the discretion of the development entity.
So it would allow the developer to decide which one he wants to choose, and we'd have no say in it. And,
Right. Right now, the planning board determines if, by going through that progression, which is the most appropriate and makes the most sense for the community at large.
And it is a case-by-case basis, and I think it
Right.
should continue to stay that way. So with revisions, I think we could support the bill, but as it's currently written, I would say no.
Any other further comments before we take the vote? Okay. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 500. Next item on the agenda is comments from interested citizens, and this is when the public would like to come and speak. This is the time to do that, and I think that let's start with Mr. Traeger first.
Well, if there's other people going, I didn't
Oh.
think that.
Okay. If you'd like to come to the microphone and state your name.
Hey there. I'm Rachel Clow. I live in Peacedale. Grew up in Wakefield. I'm just here out of concern. I did write a letter to the paper stating those concerns. It's regarding Memorial Day. I'm just here to tell you how deeply, deeply offended I am and hurt that our day, which is a sacred day, you've allowed a road race to take place on that day. I don't know, and I've been thinking about it all day. I started a petition. I'm not a professional protester. That's not anything I've ever done. I've never written a letter to the paper before. So I started a petition, and I didn't even really know what I was doing, and I was like, I'm going to petition the town to not allow town property or town resources to be used on Veterans Day or Memorial Day for anything other than its intended purpose. And then the question came up, how many signatures? And I have to just think, like, how many people is it okay to offend? I don't know, as a community. How many is okay? Because that's a question that I guess we have to decide. I'm offended. I have 100 and almost 60 signatures of people that are also offended. And I don't know where that petition should stop. 1% of our population serves in the military. That's a sad truth. So maybe in comparison to the amount of people in town, the people that are offended are also the minority. But I do think that there are heroes, and our country put aside this specific day for a specific purpose. And that purpose is for us to honor those men and women that have died serving our country. And if there were to be an event to raise money or awareness or anything on that day, on that one day, I'm not opposed to road races any other time, unless you want me to run them. But on that day, I just believe Memorial Day should be a day to raise money for Gold Star families, nothing else. Veterans Day, you can raise money for any veterans cause you'd like. Memorial Day is a sacred day with a specific purpose. Gold Star families, I would support 100%. Many of you may not even know what a Gold Star family is. To be a Gold Star family, you have to have lost an immediate member of your family. Now, personally, yes, I had a son that was overseas. Veterans Day, I will celebrate him. Thank God Memorial Day is not about him. But it is about his friends. This is the first Memorial Day he's been back in South County for 6 years. He hasn't been here. 2 years ago, I marched in the Memorial Day parade. And at the end of it, I stood at the monument, and I listened to all of you, and I watched Erica Van Pelt sing God Bless America, and I cried. It was too hard for me to even be there, because my son at the time was in Afghanistan. And I thought, oh my God, I could be here, and this could be about him. I'm beyond thrilled that Memorial Day isn't about him. But being his first year back, I'm so sad that he won't be able to take that day and see our community honor his friends as they should be honored. He should be coming back to his community with a sense of pride, like, look at how my community supports what I've done and the sacrifice my friends have made. And that's not what he's seeing. And I've had people say, well, he should talk to the town council. And I said, really? He's been fighting a war for 4.5 years, and now he comes back to SK, and he's supposed to fight for the right to mourn his friends? It breaks my heart as a mom. I'm not anti any races or fundraisers. I'm always a supporter of great causes. But on this one day, it's everyone else's time to step back and show compassion to those that have lost friends, lost sons, daughters. I had a call from a mom this morning who couldn't be here because she was working. And she said, I don't think people know. My son's a Marine, and he's deploying to Afghanistan this month. Everybody thinks the war is over, washing their hands of it. Her son's leaving. She's a South County resident. And her son is leaving this month. As moms, we fight for our children. Our heart breaks when we see their hearts broken. And I'm just coming to you sad that my community would do this. I understand we all make mistakes. I get that. I just urge you to never make this one again, because this was a big one. And this was a big one that hurt. So I will send along my petition if one of you has a number that you'd like. What percentage of our town is okay to offend? I would be very interested in that number. I don't know what it is. I don't have the answer. Like I say, I'm not a protester, so I don't know what it is. But I was born and raised here, and I'm offended, and I'm hurt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't know if the chair of the parade committee wanted to speak now or last. Yeah, did you want to speak? Or, okay.
My name is Steve Stewart. I've lived in South Kingston for 67 years. A lot of people ask me if I've lived here all my life, and I tell them not yet. I've also been the chairman, co-chairman of the Memorial Day Parade for 25 years, and I've been the chairman of the Veterans Day Parade for 10 years. So that total is about 35 years. Is there anything that the committee would like to ask me?
I know that I have received many phone calls, as well as I'm sure many of you. I received text messages, emails, and I know that, in speaking the cost of the advertisement, that has been spent on the race, it's a difficult thing to change the date of the race. And I think that, and I'm aware that there's the petition with I thought it was 150 signatures. And we have 365 days a year, and I'm hoping that there's some kind of a resolution that everybody can have a special day. And I really hate to see South Kingstown divided. We've always been a united community and worked out problems, so.
We had this meeting about the Memorial Day Parade last August, and at the time, it seemed like a good idea. So we've been in the planning stage for a long time. So, and the people who are involved in this committee are Terry Murphy from the Neighborhood Guild. We have American Legion. We have the Vietnam Veterans of America. And we have the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And altogether, there's about 6 in the committee now. At one time, there were 2. And so it's come a long way. And we're learning like everybody else is. And we'll see what happens.
I know myself as a town council member, I'm hoping that there's some kind of a recommendation that comes forward maybe from the parade committee in the future to the town council. And I will express my personal concerns at the end of listening to the public speak. But
Okay. We'll work on that. Thank you.
any questions for Steve?
Steve,
Carol.
when you met in August, you were considering the Mattie Fund Memorial Road Race at that time?
Yes, I met with Richard Sarabo about that in August.
And were any of you talked about the American Legion, the Vietnam vets, the vets of foreign wars. Were any of those people offended, or did they find that this would be an offensive activity on Memorial Day?
When I met with Richard, there were just myself and Richard talking about it. And then we brought it up to the parade committee, and they all seemed to agree that, the day is special. And they thought that because of the separation between the two, that one would not overlap into the other, that the problem might be erased. That's to be seen.
I'd just like to say one other thing. My father is 89 years old. He is from the 8th Armored Division, World War II veteran, one of the Thundering Herd. Talk about the quiet stories that we've heard today with Tiger Patrick and other persons who are in the community who've felt the pain of war and saw their friends die. I think we can all agree our World War II, the greatest generation, they saw it all. And he fought in France and Germany. He was wounded. And I asked him to read all the stories in the story that came out in the paper. I asked him his opinion. He will be 90 years old in November, on Veterans Day, by the way. And he has no problem with it. And I take my cue a lot from him because I respect his service to the United States during World War II. And if there's anyone who feels for the veterans, respects the veterans, has participated in veterans groups during his lifetime, he is it. And he finds nothing offensive in this road race. And honestly, I don't understand. I do feel for all of you who are hurt by this, but I see the difference in, I think one of the things you said, Rachel, was we, show compassion for those who are lost, and there's still a war in Afghanistan, and we're washing our hands of it, that is absolutely not true. Every day, we all think about the veterans and the people who serve, and the very freedom of having this road race was fought by them. I mean, freedom comes in many, many ways. And this is just another one of them. And the Mattie race has made concessions, it's my understanding, and I know Mr. Saravo will take the podium and he can explain that to us, but I believe there are donations going to the Veterans Administration and possibly, he can explain all of that, but I just wanted to mention my father, and he's got a pair of eyes that have seen it all, 90 years. I don't think there's anybody in this room that can say they're that old yet, and served and saw what he saw, and
Absolutely.
He believes in freedom, and this is in freedom for everyone. And he honestly believes Memorial Day not only is to celebrate all the fallen war veterans and heroes, but also to commemorate everyone who died. I mean, many people go to the grave and place flowers on the grave of every person who died. He goes to my mother's grave. He goes to his mother's grave. I mean, it's gone even beyond just memorializing. I mean, obviously the veterans and the fallen heroes are the number one, but it has become a way of remembering everyone. So I just wanted to say that. And with you here, Steve, I wanted to mention my father, so.
Thank you.
I have his hat in my car, but I didn't wear it in, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Meg?
I could sit down, but I feel more compelled to stand up. Rachel, I applaud you. I absolutely applaud you, and I respect what your son has done. I'm going to cry. I have a Kleenex. Thank you, and give him thanks for his service, because without people like your son, guess what? The integrity of this room and the people that he has served might not be there. And I applaud your plight. Don't get me wrong. I certainly respect you and I applaud your plight. I look at this situation, we had the meeting, we had the vote, people didn't show up. It was posted, I wish people did show up. But I also have to look at the Mattie Fund, and I think it could be a win-win situation, and I want people to look at, I would never take away the sanctity, never, ever, ever would I. But I do think if the road race comes before this, it might not be successful. Who knows? It's the first year. Who knows? Nobody can predict. However, if you have several people who are running in a road race with families and supporters that decide to stay to protect the sanctity of people that are walking through the parade, I don't know if it's a bad idea. We won't know until the race is over, but believe me, I'm not against you. I'm not against this. I don't know what the answer is, honest and true. I just wish people came out when this came before the council, but they didn't. Nobody did. And this came before us, and people looked at it, as I'm sure you did when you had the conversation, as somewhat of a win-win situation to get more people to memorialize that day after the road race. We're not taking away, well, I'm not. I can't say as a council. I can't speak for the council. I don't think the town felt that they were taking away from the sanctity of the memorial. And if you're offended by that, personally, as a person, I certainly apologize, but I don't think that was the intent, Rachel. I certainly don't.
No.
So, I applaud you, and I'm not kidding. I respect you tremendously.
I just need a clarification here. I don't know if it's the intent in the room with those that have spoken to move forward and try to cancel the race, or maybe look at, and there's nothing on the agenda tonight, so there's really not a vote, or to look at something in the future, to set aside those days, which have been set aside to honor our veterans. So I just want to make sure that there's kind of two things here that I think people are talking about, and maybe that can get clarified as people come and speak. Paul, did you want to say
I
something?
think that, this has been, obviously, we do a lot of business in the town council. And we give thought to everything, but not necessarily all at the same time. This application for the race came through, it's a good cause. It's not like Jollytown, it's a memorial race. And it was gonna be before, and we talked about, is it gonna interfere with the parade? No, it's not. So I think that going forward, we don't schedule everything. And no town funds are being used for this race. I mean, yes, they will run on some town roads, but no town funds are being, all the cost is completely paid for by the Matty Fund. So we're not paying for anything. I think that if we can get this done seamlessly, I think it might hopefully, and there's some things we could do, which I'd like to talk to Mr. Saravo about honoring our veterans and our fallen, that could play into like the beginning of the race, whether it be a moment of silence or everyone, the Pledge of Allegiance or, things like that. If we can do that, so you make it, it's, so the people understand who are running this race, that it's a twofold event. I mean, we're honoring our veterans and we're also honoring that young boy.
Jim, did you want to speak?
Well, I wanted the public to speak. Carol
I know,
really was
somehow-
answering Steve.
Right,
Carol was
somehow-
answering Steve, so I wanted to hear from the public.
And then
before
Meg wanted to
Yeah, I'd
speak.
rather wait to the end to speak.
Okay. So at this time, Steve, we're going to open it to more comments from the
Thank you.
public.
Thank you.
Please come to the microphone.
Hi, thank you. My name is Kristen Wilkes. I have been a resident of South Kingstown since 2001. I am also the fiance of an Iraqi war veteran. When I looked at the day of the race, and I have been a road runner, iron distance triathlon, marathon runner. I have run the Marine Corps Marathon in memory of a fallen Marine, Lance Corporal P.J. Sora. These are the people that Memorial Day is about, people that have given their lives for this country so that all of us can sit here and debate a road race. I think the Matty Fund is a wonderful cause. I think it's a poor choice for a day. Matty didn't die on Memorial Day. The cause of supporting epilepsy is wonderful. And this road race was typically held, and please correct me if I'm wrong, one of the first 2 weeks in June out of the University of Rhode Island. I'm not quite understanding why Memorial Day was chosen. I'm going to respectfully disagree with you that Memorial Day is a day to remember everybody. It is a day for our families and our friends to remember the fallen who have fought and paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can enjoy the freedoms of the United States. I don't feel that friends of mine, such as Chad, should have to come home after seeing the horrific things that they've seen and have to fight for their own town so that they are allowed to memorialize their friends and take a day of remembrance. Yes, a Memorial Day parade it's wonderful, and that's when we can all celebrate and remember the fallen. But when you do a road race and you have a picnic around the time the parade's going to start, I'm not quite sure those people are going to really be fired up about remembering what Memorial Day is for. That's my personal opinion. I'm offended. When I spoke with my fiance about it, his response saddened me, and it saddened me to the core in a way. I don't think he expected me to react the way I did. He said he wasn't surprised. He goes, as a veteran, he's never felt that the public, the general public, truly understand what military members and their families go through. Because we have to remember, people who have lost somebody in war, their family is forever changed. they're never going to have the picnic or have the opportunity to run a race or do anything together again. That's their day. We have 365 days a year. We can go back to the first or second week of June. I just felt I needed to say my piece for my friends and people that I feel Memorial Day is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Somebody else like to speak?
Hi, I'm Kate McMahon, a local resident. I've grown up in the area. I've lived in South County my whole life, Narragansett, South Kingstown. My father is also a vet. I have many friends who are vets, and as Rachel stated earlier, we're very fortunate that we celebrate them on Veterans Day and not mourn them on Memorial Day. I also am an avid runner, participate in many road races, fundraisers, the whole 9 yards. Very supportive of the Maddie Fund. Do not have an issue with the race, do not have an issue with the fund, don't have an issue at all. But poor choice of a moment to have that particular race, because again, as Kristen just respectfully disagreed, that Memorial Day is not twofold. It is not to remember everyone. It's to remember the 40 million troops who have died over the course of the past 200, 300 years. To have a road race would be lovely if it was specifically dedicated to memorializing fallen troops. An opportunity, I believe, as Councilwoman Healy brought up, there's an opportunity for a win-win that actually was discounted right at the beginning when the two parties came together to discuss the issue. And to me, if one veteran or one family is offended, that's one too many. So you have the opportunity to enlighten the public and say, this isn't a memorial for everyone. This is a Memorial Day for fallen troops. You have an opportunity for a very good fund and foundation to embrace the fact that they can bring awareness that Memorial Day is what it's supposed to be about. So you do have the opportunity for a win-win. So instead of making it Maddie's Memorial Day race, because as Kristen also pointed out, it's not his Memorial Day, it's our fallen troops Memorial Day. You can work together, we can bring our town back together on the thought that we take this as an opportunity to say that our fallen soldiers aren't an afterthought anymore, that they are remembered on Memorial Day as they were intended. As I said, there are over 40 million troops from when wars first started occurring in the United States of America who have died so that we can stand here and speak. So to take any moment away from any of those people, any of those families, it is discouraging, it is sad. And when I do talk to my friends who are veterans, as to also to what Kristen has said, none of them are surprised. None of them are willing to fight anymore. They just see, they come home, they're not celebrated the way they should be. And I think we have an opportunity here to bring education to the town. And I would love to see that happen instead of it being a division. No one wants any of it to be negative. Everybody wants to look at it in a positive light. There's an opportunity here that's going to be missed if something doesn't give, and our lost soldiers and servicemen and women are given the respect that they deserve on the one day that's been allotted to them. So.
Thank you, Kate.
Good evening, Town Council. I'm Kyle Gernon. I been here for about 5 years in South Kingstown. And I just want to say one thing tonight and put it on the record. I currently serve in the Air Guard, been doing it for almost 17 years. And when this idea was thrown to me, I was very shocked to hear that a road race would happen on the same day as Memorial Day. And a couple of my coworkers, I happened to show them the banner of this Memorial Day race for Maddie. And they were a little shocked. I don't know if you've seen the brochure or the road race thing with the American flag, and it says Maddie Memorial Fund. These people had no idea who Maddie was. And they said, who is that? Is that someone who died in Iraq and Afghanistan? That's when it hit me right there. Let that sink in. Because it's not about Maddie on that day, all right? Mr. Saravo, I don't know what, that has got to be really hard to lose a child. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin. But why was that day picked? Why Memorial Day? Someone on the town council said maybe to get, there's people in the community that are going to be there, raise money for Maddie. I don't know. Is that a right thing? Is that the wrong thing? Am I paraphrasing that wrong?
I don't think that's what was said.
No?
Did you say something about raising money? I don't think.
No, I don't think it was.
Any of us got into that, raising money for, who's
Yeah.
talking? I can't even tell who's talking. Well, you have to wait, I think.
My point is, back in November, there was a vote. Was it November or August?
Well,
that
the
was-
parade committees.
The parade committee?
Well, I think the parade committee chair, Steve Stewart, met with Mr. Saravo, and I think that's when things first began. And then there's, just so that the audience is aware, there's a whole process to go through, the town process to apply for road races. And there's many forms that have to be filled out. They have to go through the Transportation Traffic Review Commission, plan out the parade route. There's the police chief, there's many different people in the town that have to sign off. And all of that takes place prior to it coming to the town council. And then, the final stamp of approval comes in front of the town council. And if you want to add more to that, Steve, with the process, I think that's in a nutshell. So I think the process probably started back in August. It didn't come in front of the town council until, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago. I can't remember.
But nobody came to the town council when it was addressed.
Yeah, I understand that.
I respect the fact that every single one of you are here tonight. Believe me, I certainly do. But you weren't here. And so we didn't hear any opposition at that point. We certainly didn't. Nobody was here to oppose it that night.
Totally understood.
Not
I'm a
one
little naive
person.
towards the process, but after hearing Rachel speak and Kate speak, it just, I'm with Rachel and everybody else. It saddens me, for a veteran like Chad to come home and he's not going to speak tonight because, why should he have to fight for that? I've been over there 11 times now, and
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. It's my honor.
Thank you for your
And
service.
I just, just pick another day. I mean, it's just that simple. But I think tonight, to be clear, that's probably not going to be the case. And to move forward from this day forward, that, Memorial Day is for Memorial Day. Let's keep it that way. It's very simple. And another part of that is I think Mr. Saravo, the Maddie Fund, they're going to donate some of the money. Is that true to veterans? Is that true, sir?
I think that when he comes to the microphone, he'll
Okay.
address that.
Well, I think I
if he
heard
decides
that.
to speak.
I
Yeah.
did say that. I
Okay,
did.
you did, all right.
Yes, you're
I
right.
did hear that.
Yes.
All right.
I thought that was a reasonable concession, given all the facts. I mean, I don't think it's, there's no consideration that we're going to stop the Maddie Fund race at this time. That's my understanding. I mean, there's been too much put into it, and he has a right to it at this time. They have a right to the race because we did approve it after him going through all the process that he was supposed to go through. And like Meg said, not one person showed up here. The night we issued the license, there was not one person objecting to it. So, and we had the Steve Stewart recommend, they were fine with it, and the veterans that he represented, so, we can only hear what we hear at the time.
Yeah, totally.
And it's very difficult because, as Paul said, we're not utilizing town resources. The Maddie Fund is not for the raise. I don't agree or disagree that we should change the date. I really don't. I wish people were here when the decision had to be made. But when I hear people speaking to say that there's nothing else that should utilize town resources on that day or make it a memorial, what are you gonna do about Tuckertown Park where kids are playing soccer or kids are playing baseball, or the town's opening up the restrooms? Are we supposed to close everything down for them?
No, you don't, no, we have to live our lives.
And that's where I think we need to be reasonable. And that's where I think we have to look into these situations. Do I know this is going to be a success? No, I don't. Can I give you a 100% guarantee? I certainly can't. I can't speak for the rest of the council. I can only speak for myself. I'm not saying that we'll ever do this again. But I am saying that the decision was made. They have spent $20-something thousand, if I'm not mistaken, and it was brought before the council, and nobody came to say it shouldn't be done. And, you know, I applaud your son. I'm not kidding you, Rachel. I respect you immensely, and I see what you post online, and God bless you, because you're a very fervent person, and I mean that. I really do. I don't know if we'll do the Matty race again on this day, but I think it can't be changed.
That's right.
I think it can't be changed this year, only because it was approved based on the information we got from Mr. Saravo and his family. And I understand his plight as well. I'm not taking away from anybody in the military. I'm not taking away anything from the Matty Fund. I think, I mean, I respect all of you. We have to live with it right now, this year. It can't be changed.
All right, I just want to interject here, and if at any point, Mike, usually when it's comments for interested citizens, because this is not on the agenda and we're going back and forth with the dialogue, at some point, I'm looking for you, Mike, to give me the signal that we probably have to add it to the agenda. So if we can listen to the public, and
you absolutely can continue to listen to the public, and the public keeps bringing up the same exact issue. If your intent is at the end of this for all of you to make general comments, I would say let's just have a quick motion to add discussion of the Matty Fund to tonight's agenda. You still won't be able to take any votes or anything like that, but it will allow you all to make general comments at the end.
okay. Somebody like to make that motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We've now added it to the agenda. So, Carl, did you want to continue, or are you all set?
It's Kyle, and,
Kyle, sorry.
no, thank you for listening, and, just from this point forward, please, when you make that decision for Memorial Day, think about that, all right? And, yeah, that's all I have to say. I defer to
Thank you,
Jess.
Kyle.
Hi, my name is Jessica Gernon, and that's my husband. He's in the military, and Chad is my brother. I have a few specific things that I want to say to you. You've all been saying that this came before us a whole year ago, and this has been planned out, and these people signed off on it, and this person signed off on it, and we voted for you, and no one was here. That's because we elected you to do what was right for our town. We didn't all have to be here. We put it in your hands to make the right decision, and you made the wrong decision. You made the wrong decision. Shouted from the back, I apologize, speaking out of turn, but this can never happen again. The Matty Fund packaged it up and showed it to the race committee and said, we're going to help. We're going to set up the cones. We're going to make this a win-win. It's not. The racers are going to go to the Muse, they're going to have their party, and none of them are going to be down at Saugatucket Park crying for people that died. They're going to be drinking beer and having a good time, and my brother needs that respect. His friends need that respect. This is ridiculous. I can't even believe that we're having a discussion on it. I think that his loss is terrible, and no one is taking that away from him. But I think that their foundation was taking advantage of a captive audience, trying to make money off of an event that was being held in our town for our fallen heroes.
I'm just going to ask for, thank you, Jessica. I'm just going to ask for any future speakers if we can maybe just not mention names. It's too heart-wrenching for me.
Is your brother here today? Is he here? Thank you for your service.
That's Chad.
Thank you.
I'm Chad Cloud, who they seem to all want to bring up. And you say thank you for your service, and you could have, and you still can thank me for my service by honoring greater warriors and heroes than I. All right? And keeping that day that you are supposed to honor those, my friends, and people that came before them and before me. I spent my time in the United States Army with the 1st Ranger Battalion of the 75th Ranger Regiment, which is Special Operations in the United States Army. It is the oldest branch of Special Operations in the military, and they trace their lineage all the way back before America was a country. And it's in that community, it's a big deal to honor those that have come before you and have laid down their life for the freedoms that we all enjoy. Whenever you perform an exercise or in any way, shape, or form you're doing something, when you complete that, you stop and you do one more. And that one more is for the airborne ranger in the sky. And everyone in the 75th Ranger Regiment, every single person has a personal airborne ranger in the sky. And a lot of times it's not even someone you knew. It's someone that came before you. And you are expected to know everything about that person. Where they grew up, what foods they liked, what was their favorite movie. And on the spot, you are asked to tell somebody about them. And that's just one way to honor them, so that their memory they never leave us. It's one way to honor their family. It's one way to honor them with the job that they did, with the commitment they put into it. And that's what Memorial Day is. I understand not everybody will have the same experiences I have, and I've been around the same group of people that I served with. But that doesn't take away what Memorial Day is. That day is for everyone to reflect about the sacrifices that people have made for this country. It's not about anything else. I served with the greatest men that this country has to offer. And as a sanity check, when this issue came up, I checked with them first. I was like, this hurts me. Does it hurt you? And I asked, my peers. And it hurt them deeply, but the response that I got was, you're going to have to deal with it because no one cares. And then I was like, all right. So I asked somebody else. You're going to have to deal with it because nobody cares. We'll remember everybody. They won't. They don't care. And I continued asking. I got the same response from every single serviceman I asked, that you don't care. I just don't understand how my generation, and I can only speak for my generation because those are my peers, that is how my generation feels. That you don't care. And actions like this leads them to that point. They're not just waking up one day saying, oh, nobody cares about me. It's little things like this that happen over the entire country, and piece by piece, they put the puzzle together, and the picture is, no one cares. 22 veterans a day commit suicide. A big part of that is they don't think you care because you don't. So here I am, and I'll let you know I grew up here, in Peacedale on Columbia Street, and I served my time in the United States Army, and while I was in the Army, I became a Florida resident, and when I got out a year ago, I spent last Memorial Day with my friends at the 1st Ranger Battalion Memorial. And I've been back and forth from Rhode Island to Florida, just because it's good to see family after all that time. And I recently have been thinking about moving back, because this is where I grew up. It's where I was born and raised. And I really don't think I can with things like this in my own hometown. I really don't think I can. And it makes me sad that I can't come home because of how hurt I get seeing this. And the town is divided. So if it's divided, that's 50% are okay with me being this hurt and my generation being this hurt. And I don't think I can come back here. And everybody calling me out, so I figured I should come up and say my little piece.
Thank you, Chad. Bobby?
Oh, boy. What a night. Sitting at home, raking a lot of leaves today, looking at a little C-SPAN and watching Charlie Rose. And I think I've said it more than once at this podium, but lots of times I come here and I, first of all, would like to say that every person that spoke here, I agree with 100%. But I also know I'm looking at people that I also have a high degree of respect for. I'm looking at you right now. I don't think you did anything that you meant to hurt a person or any person. But at the same time, you've brought up, I'll try to make this brief because I don't come here with an agenda. I come here to see what your agenda is. And I think you brought that up, Margaret, and I think other people have brought it up, that at the meeting that this was discussed, unfortunately, there wasn't one person there that thought it through. And you weren't on that wavelength, you were on another wavelength. And I fully understand how it happened. And if I'm not a veteran, I've been in the military, I spent my 4 years in the military. I get out when Vietnam started to get hot, went to school, so I didn't see what some of these people have seen. I haven't been hurt like some of these families have been hurt. But we're living in a democracy, and what we need to do in a democracy is show up where democracy takes place. Now I'm going to divert for a second because I was going to throw it. I didn't know this was going to happen tonight. I didn't know the degree of emotional, the emotions that I felt listening to these people speak. And I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, only because you probably did make a mistake. But to me, believe me, it's a mistake, and it can be dramatized, but at the same time, I fully understand how it could happen, as I've already said. But I said before at other meetings I'm very disappointed that this town does not broadcast live this meeting. And I think it is, the more I think about it, I haven't been convinced at all by anybody's explanation, because I don't think money should be a factor in democracy. And I think this meeting should have been tuned in by everybody in South County, not to put you on the spot as a council, but just to sensitize people to the needs that other people have. And that's what we don't do. We become insensitive to the killings and the murders and the millions of people all over the world right now that are being shot at probably at this moment. It's crazy. But I think it's crazy. I don't understand how it can be that way. Because we live in a country that we can hide from it. And we live in a community that we can even hide even more, which I've said before at these meetings. You know. Now, does that mean everybody can, this walking across the United States, that's how this meeting started. My God, what a person. What a testament to what this country is all about. I mean, it started there today. How long have we been here? See, I don't care how long. This kinds of meeting can go on all night as far as I'm concerned. I'm awake. I thought I wouldn't make it today because I was tired. I get tired. I'm only 74, but I still get tired, you know. I'm just a kid, I know. But anyway, I'll say it again. I agree with every single thing that the people, and I want to say one more thing. You, as an original speaker, this is what I believe this country is about. And believe me, we've been riding a wave for a long time. But I think in the last 10 or 15 years, people are starting to realize that this country could be in trouble. And it won't be in trouble as long as people speak up when they have been hurt, even if it wasn't meant. It's an important thing to do, to get up and speak your mind. And I think when you speak your mind, you have to be willing to take something back. I mean, I don't know if I'm not saying anything controversial tonight, but if this was Narragansett, and if you were at Narragansett last week, you would have heard a different me. All right? Anyway. I'm going to say one thing, and it's not meant to be deferential to you at all. Shouldn't happen again.
Thank you, Bobby. Do we have other speakers that would like to come to the microphone, please? Joe Tiger?
No one has ever called me Joe Tiger before. That's a weird thing. My dad was Joe.
They've called you many other things, I'm sure. Now? Sorry, Joe.
That's okay. Emotional day. Sort of fortuitous that I'd be delayed to come here until today. I'm a proud member of the parade committee, and I didn't know that we met in August. I was walking somewhere between, trying to think when it was, but okay, so August, that was Missouri, Kansas, right? And so, as I spoke to Richard today, I don't think it's fair to vilify or anything against the Maddie Fund race. It should have, it deserves its own merit, and we need to protect and honor that. The fact that it's on Memorial Day totally blows my mind, but as a parade committee member, I will do whatever I can to support that event. If we have it on Memorial Day this year, then I've got to honor that, but I can't support that for next year. And so I will do whatever we can do as parade committee to help the Maddie Fund have a great event. If it's not a Memorial Day this year, whenever it is, it's important because unfortunately, emotions were triggered that weren't under the surface, that because we don't have young men like Chad in the VFW, many of the members, it's been 50 years since this town's lost someone in combat, right, since Vietnam. And so, or maybe a little less than 50 years. So we've kind of lost what it's like, or on a personal level. We didn't have one of the 18 Rhode Island servicemen and women who were killed that were from Rhode Island come from our town. Or I think it would have been a little bit easier for you all to come to a different conclusion. So we have what we have right now, and I strongly suggest that we try to find a solution so that we protect the integrity of the race, but also maintain the integrity of the day as it's intended and voted on, and it's a national holiday for. There has to be a solution where we can all work together and at least for this 1 year, make it happen and honor our lost, but also honor what the Maddie race raises. And so I'm going to work on that. I'm going to try to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. If you could raise your hand, how many other people would like to speak? Are we all set? Okay. Rick?
I find it difficult to stand here when 4 mothers tell me I can't honor my son on Memorial Day after losing him. I'm appalled by that. I'm the only one here that has lost a son, a blood relative son, in this audience. The Maddie Fund is named in honor of my son, Matty, a 5-year-old boy who lost his battle with epilepsy, a battle he didn't sign up for. And as a result of his loss, for the past 11 years, he died on Mother's Day, 2003, and for the past 11 years, we've been helping hundreds of families, children and families with epilepsy. When we met with the race committee, when we met with Chief Vespier and his committee, when we met with Parks and Recreation, and we met with this town council, every single one of those groups were unanimously in favor. We were so excited to bring more families to the town for the Memorial Day Parade, and that was our intention, and everything the Maddie Fund has done has been positive. Nothing negative, nothing on social media negative. We're not on change.org. We're not signing petitions. And for the record, the South County Independent has run a poll this week. Has this town council made a mistake having a race before the Memorial Day Parade? And as of today, 63% said you did not make a mistake. And that's the South County Independent. That's not change.org, people from Nebraska and California. Memorial Day is a day of remembrance. It's a day to remember our loved ones, our soldiers coming home, and our soldiers who are not coming home. We certainly remember young Maddie and other family members who have passed before us. My father, my uncles, my grandparents, my grandfathers all served in World War I and World War II. It is also the beginning of summer here in South County, and traditionally, there are barbecues and cookouts and picnics, and people open up beach houses. There are hundreds of sporting events on Memorial Day. Since 1911, the Indianapolis 500 has been running on Memorial Day. Soccer teams across the state will be playing soccer on Memorial Day. My sons always played soccer on Memorial Day. Cape Cod tournament, Needham tournament. And I'm sure the South County Sharks will be playing soccer, or some of those groups from South County will be playing soccer as well. There's baseball on Memorial Day. The Mattie Fund hosts many workshops throughout the year. For the past 11 years, we've been hosting workshops and lectures and have helping children and families dealing with epilepsy. We have partnered with the Veterans Administration Epilepsy Center of Excellence and have been planning a workshop along with the Traumatic Brain Institute to help American soldiers coming back with traumatic brain injury, epilepsy, and seizures.
Excuse me, Rick?
Yes.
I want your
Sorry.
speech to come clear through the microphone.
Okay, sorry.
And, it may get distorted with the volume. Thank you.
Research has shown that American soldiers returning home from war have been exposed to a variety of destructive explosions, ranging from grenades, suicide bombers, landmines, even IEDs, improvised explosive devices, which account for 2/3 of combat injuries. Exposure to these explosions indicate veterans are particularly at high risk for TBI, traumatic brain injury, which may result in epilepsy or seizures. Studies show trauma to the brain is clearly defined risk factor for epilepsy. It is believed that about 20 to 25% of individuals with closed head brain injuries will go on to develop PTE, post-traumatic epilepsy. Meanwhile, penetrating injuries, when a foreign object or a fractured skull enters the brain, are the most severe form of TBI. Research has further shown American soldiers suffering from PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder may be suffering from psychoneurological symptoms, including signs of epilepsy and seizures. If anyone took the time, I think Joe Patrick said he did, he told me today, he went to the Department of Veterans Affairs website and he looked up resources. And I think he said he found a link to the Mattie Fund, the only organization in the state of Rhode Island helping veterans with traumatic brain injury, on the Department of Veterans Affairs website. When we met with the parade committee, and Steve and Terry and whoever else there was at that time, our intentions were come together and bring more people to the parade, help the parade committee who are struggling, who it's a limited number. I think he said 6 people, and he was walking through Missouri, so he wasn't around at that point. Some of these guys, the 6 men, they're not even around that day. I'm not sure what their schedules are. I spoke to Jim Torgy. He's away for 2 or 3 weeks. And he asked me 3 things. 1, actually 4, will you help us with the parade? And I said, Steve, whatever you need, we will do. 2, will you remove the flag from the website? And that's done. Steve, when you came in this past week, you asked me about the flag, the first thing on your agenda. I pulled up the website and it was removed, correct? He asked me, would you not play any music from 11:15 to 11:45 because of Saugatuck Park? No PA. And I said to Steve, we will not play any music or PA. How about from 11 to 12? That would be great. And the last thing, I think that Joe and Steve had asked me, would you consider moving the race for next year? And I said the difficulty with that is we have to close down streets 2 days, and that's something that the town doesn't want to do. We have an opportunity to capitalize on the parade and bring in more people here to the town. And all I've heard about is economic development, win-win for the town, and this is from veterans. So I think it would be difficult to have it on Sunday. You got St. Francis Church, you have other things going on, and on a Saturday when all the businesses are open on Main Street. So I commend this council as I did my due diligence, this council voted 5-0, and I believe you guys did your due diligence as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. I just want to make sure there's not another speaker before you come to the microphone the second time.
Can I just ask Rick to name the VA, what was the name of the organization that you're donating the money to?
The Department of Veterans Affairs, Epilepsy Center of Excellence.
Thank you.
Rachel?
I'm going to try to be brief. I didn't think it was possible to be more offended, but I was wrong. So clearly we all make mistakes. I believe it was just said that, well, they signed up for it. So I'm still trying to absorb that. Yes, a lot of brave souls sign up to join our military, thank God. Memorial Day is a day to honor many that didn't in Vietnam. Your dad, you say, was a World War II hero. God bless him. I guarantee his experience, the Vietnam veterans' experience, and my son's experience are very different. My son just spoke with somebody the other day that said, you know, in the 1950s, you could line up 10 different groups of 10 men, and out of each group, 9 of them would have served. You can do that now, and it will be 0. These men do sign up, and yes, they are aware that they can die. Memorial Day is a day to honor the fallen. On Veterans Day, you want to raise money for a veterans affair? Great. The soldiers back home that are having seizures are the lucky ones. They're alive. Memorial Day's a day to honor the ones who aren't having seizures. They're dead. It's a day to honor specifically our fallen military. I don't honor my grandmother on that day, and I loved her dearly. But it's not her day. It's a day to honor our fallen military. It's a specific day. It's not a 2-for-1. You can't wrap it all up. I do agree that this is going to happen this year. I see that. I am more offended right now because there's no apology. There's no compassion for someone else's plight. And as a community, I personally, I support a lot of charities. The Maddie Fund is one of them. I have over the years. I've gone to the Snow Angel Ball. I've gone to the Lobster Bake. I've supported. I would have been a supporter of the road race. I would have been there. I don't even run. I would have walked it. But I'm just concerned that when I come forward saying I'm hurt, there's no apology. There's not a, you know what, we won't do it again next year. There's an implication that, well, you know, we might, let's see how this race goes. That horrifies me. When you want people to be compassionate for you, don't you need to show it to them? Where is the compassion? Where is the apology? Yes, it was approved. There's a lot of things that are legal. I could go down to the Memorial Day parade. I could burn a flag. It's within my rights. I have that right. It wouldn't be breaking the law. But I would hope that my elected town council would not approve that. And I'm sorry I wasn't here when that went down. If you want to see me sitting right here at every single council meeting, if that's what I need to do, okay. My name's Rachel Clow. Let's get to know each other, because I'll be here. If that's what I have to do to ensure that this doesn't happen again, you might as well write my name on a seat, because I'll be here. Because I'm offended. And I'm now more offended at the lack of compassion. It saddens me. I didn't come up here without compassion for anyone else. I just asked for it for myself and for my son. And that's not what I've received. I appreciate that when it was brought to you, I don't think any one of you did this with malintent. I truly don't.
We did not.
I don't believe you did.
I'm sitting here with
I believe it was an oversight. But as my son said, that's the problem. And everyone's so quick to thank a veteran. Let's thank them. But when you have the opportunity to make the actions that thank them, we fall short. Because this is not thanking them. This is sending them a very, very clear message that we don't care. We're going to wrap their day up. Any other day, there can be races. Not Memorial Day. You want to raise money for the VA? Veterans Day. You can raise 100% funds on Veterans Day to go to Veterans Affairs. Memorial Day, there are some great charities. There are some fabulous charities. Do you know there's charities that have camps you can send children to? Children whose parents have died in the war. How nice for them to go to a camp and meet other kids who also have lost a parent. I'm sad. I came here sad. I want to state my piece. I didn't think it was possible to leave here more offended, and I'm just telling you I am. I understand the position you're in. My daughter was right when she said, you know, we don't really need to sit here. That's why we elected you. Maybe I'm naive. 49 years old now, I'm getting it. You want me in the seat? You'll see me. But it's sad. I voted. I go out and vote. And I'm looking at you, knowing who I voted for, and I'm disappointed. So I'll be in the seat, and I'll be at the polls, and I will be very, very, very interested to see who's elected at our next town council. Because I want them to ensure the rights of all our community members, whether they're in that seat or not. That's a sad, sad state. There's a whole population of people that can't be here. They have young children. One woman wanted to be here today. Her husband's in the Coast Guard. She can't get a babysitter. Military families are some of the families you're not going to get. My daughter, her husband was away. He was overseas. She didn't have him for Thanksgiving. She didn't have him for Christmas. She didn't have him for New Year's. Think of all the holidays you had with your families. So for her to come to a meeting, it's not very easy. That's why we elect you. So, you know, I'm not going to get into a personal this or that or nitpicking, whatever. because I don't think that's productive. You know how I feel, and you know why I feel it. And hopefully, going forward, whether people are in these seats or not, you will value these days for what they're intended to be. I stood, the last time, ironically, I was here was to get a road race approved. And that road race went down Main Street, and you didn't close the roads. So I'm not really putting together the road closing as an issue. I'm trying to.
But it's not going to close, the road is not going to close.
Well, it was said that that was the reason to do this day, so you wouldn't have to close the road 2 different days.
During the race, the road will not be closed.
Thank you.
It will be open. There will be cones.
Yes,
You know,
as there always are for any
but
race.
The road is not going to be closed during the, unless I'm missing something and something's changed, but.
No.
No.
So really, there's no issue then on a different day. If the roads aren't closing,
It's only going to be closed for the parade, not for the race.
right. So going forward, think about these sacred holidays. Think about the intention of the holiday when someone comes to you. I organize a dance recital every year. The weekend I would choose is Father's Day weekend. That's the perfect Sunday in June. And I've never done it because I won't impose what I'm doing on someone else's day. I don't impose that. I'm not a father. I personally don't care. My dad, I can call him up. But that's what we need to do. We need to start thinking about not imposing. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. We also have not heard from Town Councilor Jim O'Neill, and I'm going to save my comments last, which I think I should do as Town Council President. So is there any more comments from the public? Jim, would you like to speak now?
Thank you.
And then I will speak.
No. Just to be clear, I go on the record here, I did not make a mistake voting to have the Matty Fund race occur on Memorial Day. It made sense to me. I've been the longest one on this council and going on 14 years. I've seen the ranks diminish. I've seen wonderful crowds along the parade route, but very few come over the Saugatucket Park. And that's where the ceremony is. Bob, that's where taps are played. That's where the wreath is thrown in the water. That's the solemn time. The rest of the parade route is kind of fun for families to get together. Then they leave, most of them. Matter of fact, almost all of them. They go to their barbecues. And as Meg said, they play baseball, soccer. It's a busy day. It's an active day in town, using town resources, parks, so on and so forth. Very busy day. And I can say that because I'm also a veteran. And I didn't serve active duty. I served 1 year active, the rest reserves. I wasn't in a war zone, very fortunately. But 2 good friends at the University of Rhode Island came back in a box with American flags surrounded them. Good friends. Didn't choose, got drafted, unfortunately. I'm seeing a friend this weekend who was at the air base, Da Nang, watching an incredible number of those that died in the box with flag, flying to the U.S., flying to Dover Air Force Base, Delaware. He came home alive, came home to Oakland, Port of Oakland, San Francisco. He was spit on. He and his fellow officers and troops, he was just a rank private. Spit on, screamed at, yelled at. But it gives you an idea of how strong democracy is. They survived it, but they'll always remember those days. Very tough times. But I supported this parade because I really thought that we would have a lot more folks who would be in attendance. That's what I was hoping for. And believe me, every time I stand up, going on 14 years now, up at the Memorial Saugatucket Park, I look at those names on the granite. I always look at those names. My hand's over my heart. Tears are in the eyes. So I don't want any of you to ever say that I don't know about war or friends or those that have died. America's culture has changed. You just heard me talk about Vietnam experience with friends. It has absolutely changed, but I suppose that's what's great about our democracy. And, you know, I take a look at, as an example here, talking about honoring those that died. VJ Day, as far as I know now, Arizona has joined 48 other states. 49 states now don't celebrate VJ Day. That's Japan. Obviously, many of you probably don't realize that. A bitter war in the Pacific Theater, a very bitter war. And if any of you have any courage, start reading the William Manchester books, about a half dozen of them, that make D-Day almost look soft compared with what those guys had to go through island to island over there. We're the only state left to celebrate it. 49 other states, no. So it's a great 3-day weekend, as Memorial Day is the start of summer in Rhode Island. But once when I was president, I spoke at Saugatucket, and I said, the one thing I'm asking all the families who are going to celebrate today, have the barbecues, good, you know, try to enjoy the day. Spend 1 minute thinking of why we're able to do this. 1 minute to celebrate those lives who were lost in all the wars. Every time I'm at town hall, down the town clerk's office, many of you probably have never been in there. There's a plaque for the Civil War deaths down there. Beautiful, beautiful. I think it's bronze. I'm not even sure. Beautiful plaque. Boy, I love seeing that. Love seeing the names on there. Each step of the way, all these brave souls who have made it possible for us to share this kind of democracy. And I can't talk about politics. World War II seemed to be something that really brought the entire nation together. Korea was the first time I think we saw some division. But boy, Vietnam, Grenada, Iraq, Afghanistan, whoa. I am so sorry that those happened. But those that died, you can only incredibly thank them because they served what the leaders of this country thought they were doing correctly. You know, I don't know what else to say, but, you know, compassion, my gosh, do I have compassion for those that aren't here today. And friends that are gone, friends that will be gone. As a veteran, I made the right decision. I'm happy I made this decision to have this because I was hoping to get a bigger crowd, a better crowd, get a few more cheers. And I'm offended that some of the folks out there are offended because I work hard up here. And I knew what I was doing when I voted that day. I knew I was a veteran. And I knew that some may be angry. But that's how it works. This is how the system works. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all,
No,
Yeah,
that's done. That is done. The public is done.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for speaking tonight. I've held my comments, and I'm going to start again by saying, in South Kingstown, we've always been united, and we've worked through problems, and I'm really hoping that this is a solution that we can look at in the future, and maybe the two parties can get together and really work something out. That's the beauty of South Kingstown. We're small, we're a close-knit community, we're supposed to care about our neighbors. It's a community that gives and gives and gives. We were cited as one of the top communities in all of the United States as giving contributions for those in need. So I'm really hoping that there is some working of the great minds, some more meetings with some parties that may be able to work this out for the future. I realize there's nothing that can be done. There is nothing. I truly believe that with the amount of money. And when I first got my first phone call, I picked up the phone and I had a conversation with Rick. And, you know, he told me the first phone call that I took was about the meeting between the two parties. And I picked up the phone to see if there was a resolution, reached out to Rick, and realized the amount of money that was spent. And you know, I think Rick said to me, if somebody comes forward with $20,000, you know, I can change the date. And then we, you know, continued with the conversation, but I don't believe it's an issue that can't be resolved for the future. I do believe with 365 days in the year, on November 9th, we celebrated Joe Tiger Patrick Day. You know, maybe this town council can move forward with a special day set aside every year for Matty Saravo. And I was there, you know, when that happened, Rick, and over at Hazard, and raising monies for the, you know, the playground, and then part of the discussion with the playground being moved. So, you know, I do have to also say that on the Veterans of Foreign War, the Ladies Auxiliary, almost a year now, I guess it's over a year. And I work with, you know, the VFW to try to get things done for the veterans in our community. And there's a lot of them hurting, and I never realized it until I really became a part of that. So I'm hoping for a solution. I know that my speech in Saugatucket Park, I would be a hypocrite if I said here tonight that I didn't believe that Memorial Day was in memory of those that have served and given their lives and those that are actively serving, because that's what my speech is all about, you know, at the ceremony in Saugatucket Park, and that's what it will be about this year as well. We've also had very moving symbolism with a white round table. It's called the Unknown Soldier, at different Memorial Days that we've had, with a white long-stemmed rose on the table and an empty seat. And that represents the empty seat of those who did not come back. And the red rose symbolizing the blood that was shed, and the symbolism goes on and on and on. So I'm hopeful we still can work something out for the future so that everybody can have their special day. And as far as compassion, I have compassion for both parties. And as far as an apology, you do have an apology from me. I'm hoping that we can work it out. Thank you. With that said, are we ready to move on to the next item on the agenda? I'm going to take a 5-minute recess.
So we can go to the little girl's room.
Oh, no, you all right? You have your who's? She's lucky I didn't hit her. Two for giving to them.
Joe, how many of these guys belong to VFW? These are never make goddamn sure if they don't
probably
stand
not
up
gonna-
here.
he's probably not gonna stay here.
You join the VFW.
With this
That's where your benefits come from, guys. Believe me, I know. I'm a Korean warrior. Okay? And it takes guys in Washington to help us. And the only way we get that help is you guys join, whether it be the Legion or the VFW. Get in there.
I'm a ladies auxiliary member.
That is Joe.
That's right. Big voice coming in Wakefield. Ladies auxiliary.
In fact, my buddies want to see.
They don't take I've been here many times, you're the only person who speaks to people. This is important. It's got an issue, you gotta come up and do it. It's very exciting. You guys did that.
I appreciate your words, sir. Sir, appreciate your words.
Thank you. More than you know.
Rachel Klein.
Yeah. Listen, you did the right thing. Bob Traeger. I'm gonna skip Stockton.
I know your voice. My brother's Chris Smith.
Oh, I guess, yeah, they are friends forever. I think I played cards with them.
All right, we'll keep an eye on these guys. If they try to
Very
prove
nicely
anything
done.
else, if they try to prove anything else, get on.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that 5-minute break. I would like to just continue with comments from interested citizens with just a few very important dates. I want the public to know that the Johnny Cake Center is celebrating an open house on, let's see, April 22nd. And it has been 1974 to 2014. So they have an open house from 6 to 7:30 on Tuesday, April 22nd. For 4 decades that the center has grown and changed its work to serve the community. So that, we got that. I also want to, just again, for all of the youngsters on vacation, school vacation next week, I want to make sure that they know that that Red Sox Trophy Championship Trophy is at the Elks from 11:30 to 1:30 on Friday, April 25th. So that's, hopefully a lot of the youngsters and the adult sports lovers for the Red Sox will get down there and view that. And again, the Police Benevolent Association is doing a fundraiser at the Elks on April 26th. So with that said, I'm going to defer to the town manager for his report.
I have nothing to report other than those items are under new business unless there's questions from the council.
Any questions for Steve? Seeing none, town solicitor's report.
Also, unless there are questions for me,
Any questions for Mike? We'll move to appointments, and we have a few.
We have 2 new appointments to the Economic Development Committee. I move that we appoint Brian P. Smith. He was interviewed tonight. His term would expire March of 2016. And I also move that we appoint Frances Alexikos. She was interviewed tonight, and her term would also expire March of 2016.
I second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Just want to also let the public know there is one more opening on Economic Development Committee. So that's, woo-hoo.
Let's see. I move that we appoint 1 member to the Planning Board. That's Pamela B. Rubinoff. Her appointment would expire in May 2014. Does that sound right, Dale? No. That's next month. Reappointments for terms expiring in May. Oh, no, that's for the others. Okay. When does this one expire?
This is for Doug Langdon's appointment, correct?
You're right. No, I don't see that anywhere. All right, well, I move that we appoint Pamela B. Rubinoff to serve the remainder of Doug Langdon's term. Thank you.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries.
And there's one more for the zoning board, but Jim, I think you wanted to move that one?
Oh, yeah, thank you, Carol. Yeah, I wanted to nominate Rob Cagnetta to fill Ernie George's spot as an active member. Rob is currently alternative number 1 on the zoning board, so I'd like to, and he expressed quite an interest by sending us a letter, and I think he even appeared before us wanting to be on the Historic District Committee, too, so I think he has a strong interest in the community.
And he's attended 36 out of 38 meetings.
Yeah, not bad.
Pretty good. I'll second that.
Not bad.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. I just want to mention Dan Beasley, the president of the CEO. I know it's on the consent agenda, but I just want to, thank him publicly for his years of 40 years of service to the state of Rhode Island. Just a fabulous man, and it's an honor to stand in his presence when I'm at meetings. So it's on the consent agenda, but I just would be remiss if I did not mention his name. Which brings us now to new business, item C. This is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Central Dodge Incorporated, 191 New State Highway, Raynham, Massachusetts, for two 2013 Dodge Charger V8s police package vehicles in an amount not to exceed $46,520, including trade-in allowance and equipment transfer, installation, and is further described in a memorandum from the police chief to the town manager dated March 28, 2014, entitled Bid Recommendation Police Vehicles.
The original bids were received last year in March. The vendors were required to hold the price on the vehicles, provided the vehicles were still available on their lot. These two vehicles are still under that bid from March of 2013. Recommend the council award as presented in the chief's memorandum of March 28th, 2014.
I move approval then of new business Resolution C.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. New business item E is a resolution authorizing award of bid to Dell Computers, P.O. Box 643561, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for the purchase of 60 new computers in accordance with the State of Rhode Island Master Price Agreement number 345, in an amount not to exceed $48,000, and as further described in a memorandum from the Director of Technology to the Town Manager dated April 4th, 2014, and entitled Computer Purchase.
The town's in need of replacing approximately 60 PC units across all of the municipal departments for a couple of reasons. One is that the existing units are averaging between 4 and 5 years, and because they are operating with the XP operating system. That is no longer supported by Microsoft, and as such, there will be no more additional security patches. So what we need to do is to do the upgrade. We also need the upgrade to be able to have more efficient computers to be able to deal with a lot of the new software that's being used. This is a part of the capital improvement program that the council, I think, is familiar with. We're going under the master price agreement. The units are approximately $800 per unit. That'll also provide 22-inch monitors.
I move approval of new business item E.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. New business item G is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Grandscape Incorporated, 3740 Old Post Road, Charleston, Rhode Island, for demolition and construction services for the Neighborhood Guild Masonry Stair Project in accordance with all bid specifications, an amount not to exceed $45,464, including a contingency of $3,000, and is further described in a memorandum from the Director of Leisure Services to the Town Manager dated April 8th, 2014, and entitled Bid Recommendation, Neighborhood Guild Masonry Stair Reconstruction.
The town went out to bid on this item. There were 4 different contractors that submitted proposals. The low price and deemed the lowest qualified contract was with Grandscapes at $42,464, plus the $3,000 contingency would get it up to the $45,000. This will be paid for coming out of trust funds that are held as reinvested income from the Guild trust funds for that work to be done. Grandscapes also did the granite work, which came out very nicely at the Guild and the Village Green. So we're well familiar with the work quality that they've provided for us in the past, and believe that they certainly can handle the job that's before them.
Thank you.
I move approval of new business item G. I think Grandscapes did a great job over there at the Village Green.
Second?
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. New business H, a resolution adopting the Town Beach policy for the 2014 season as shown on Exhibit 1 attached here too, and amending the schedule of fees as further described in a memorandum from the Director of Leisure Services to the Town Manager dated April 8th, 2014, and entitled 2014 Town Beach Policy and Fee Schedule.
The recommendation from Recreation Commission is to keep all fees and policies in place as they were in the prior season. One change is recommended, and that's the storage units. which we've had over the last few years, would increase from $150 rental fee for the season to $160.
I move approval of new business item H.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. New business I is a resolution requesting the legislators of the town of South Kingstown to introduce enabling legislation in the 2014 session of the General Assembly to place municipal bond authorization referendum questions on the November 2014 ballot for each of the following. And it's in quotes, an act authorizing the town of South Kingstown to finance the construction of a community recreation center and to issue not more than 1 million bonds therefore, end quote. Beginning of a new quote, an act authorizing the town of South Kingstown to finance capital improvements at various school facilities and to issue not more than 4 million bonds therefore, end quote. Said questions to be placed before the voters at the general election to be conducted on November 4th, 2014, as further described in a memorandum from the town manager to the town council dated April 10th, 2014, and entitled Municipal Bonding Authorization.
I've provided the council with an initial drafting through bond council for the legislation. We're still working through for what the final document will look at. However, I would request council authorization on the questions that are posed on the agenda this evening. Both are in accord with the adopted capital improvement program from January of 2014 by this town council, and these are two projects that have had extensive discussion. There's a necessity for General Assembly approval to place that on the ballot in advance of the November referendums. There will be additional information that will be made available to the public to better understand how those dollars would be expended if approved for and authorized for bond purposes.
Steve, I'd just like to, at some point, we were going to have more discussion on the community recreation center and enlighten everybody as to what that will entail and what our vision is for that. And I'd like to see that at some point prior to the election, but
Well, that's what
obviously.
I said, is that what should occur is the school department should provide educational information for that project. Friends of Recreation, through, with the Recreation Commission, will provide greater documentation on what we're looking at with the recreation improvements for the gym space or rec center, depending on what you want to call it.
Yeah.
What we also will most likely need to do is to spend some planning dollars up front to be able to provide better definition on that project. So that will be initiated, but the first order of business is referendum questions legally before the public in November.
I move approval of new business item I.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We also have new business J, which is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Wilco Development Limited Liability Corporation, 300 Jefferson Boulevard, Warwick, Rhode Island, for installation of an on-site wastewater treatment system at the town beach in accordance with all bid specifications in an amount not to exceed $91,750, including a contingency of $5,000, as further described in a memorandum from the Director of Leisure Services to the town manager dated April 8th, 2014, and entitled Bid Recommendation, Installation of On-Site Wastewater Treatment System.
As the council is aware, and also as a component of the capital improvement program, the town will need to relocate the pavilion at the town beach. With that relocation, there'll be the need for a replacement septic system. The town went out to bid for the installation of that new septic system, and we received 6 bids. The lowest qualified bid was submitted by Wilco Development LLC, and the recommendation this evening is for council approval of that contract with Wilco Development. I note that the installation for the ISDS should occur this spring in advance of the summer season. However, the movement of the pavilion will not occur till after September 15th. We are preparing the bid documents at this point to go out to bid to award a contract for that, but it will not occur until after the close of the beach season. Once the ISDS is in place and the building is relocated, we will also need to remove the existing septic system, and we will also need to connect from the plumbing to be able to take use of the new system, and that will occur this fall.
Thank you, Steve.
I move approval of new business item J.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Last item on the agenda is new business K. This is a resolution appointing, and I believe in the work session, we looked at Peter Ruggiero
Yes.
as special legal counsel to represent the zoning board of review in matters relating to petitions by the Point at East Matunic Limited Liability Corporation. So can we have that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Any discussion before we vote?
I just have a question, and I think we pointed this out at the work session. I'd like your professional opinion. Obviously, you recommended both of them because you think equally they were qualified. Mike, is that?
Whoever the council wanted to choose, I would feel comfortable with either one of them.
All right, I was reading their credentials, and it was difficult for me to discern whether one should be chosen over another, but if there was somebody that you felt that was more capable, you know, maybe you can't.
Okay, any further discussion before we take the vote? Okay, we have motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries.
Somebody wants to.
Mr. Traeger, we will give you 1 minute. How's that?
I don't know, can you comment on these things?
You're
I have
not
nothing to
supposed to, but-
comment, actually. I just don't know, what is that all about, East Matunic? What have you got to do with East Matunic?
Oh.
What is it
Steve?
about? A quick just idea of what it's about, that
Steve?
I don't get.
Buckamo Park South has an application pending before the zoning board. That application, the town needs to have an attorney that would represent the zoning board at that meeting. Normally, the counsel of record would be the town solicitor's office. The town solicitor's office has a conflict where they are representing the petitioner in another community on a different zoning item. So they are conflicted out of providing that representation. So when the application goes forward, the council has appointed Mr. Ruggiero to take the place of Ursillos, Tights, and Rich in representing the town on that matter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
It's 9:47. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. And